Okay, so today I'm going to build my extensions using my Satin Strands that I purchased from Sally's. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting out 10 pieces. Actually, I'm going to do 12 pieces though, but I don't even know if we can get the 10 pieces out of this. But what I'm going to do is two 8-inch long pieces, two 5.5-inch long pieces, two 3-inch, and possibly four 3-inch long pieces, and four 1.5-inch pieces. But frankly, I think it's more important to have the four 3-inch pieces myself. But you know, we'll see where we get with that. So I've got my tape measure that I'm going to use to measure out my pieces. You need to get the little snaps, and they've got the different colors because I'm using blonde. Then, of course, I need to get the blonde snaps. You also need to get the thread. This is all at the same department at Sally's. Where you buy your hair, you look there, you're going to find the little clips, and these have the little silicone piece in there. They come in 3 to a pack, and they're a couple bucks, if anything. You get the thread, and then you're going to need some needles big enough, because this is a pretty thick thread, so you need a needle and something to thread it with. And so you're going to cut them out to size, and then I'm going to double them up. So if I need two 8-inch pieces, then I need to cut four 8-inch pieces, because I'm going to sew two of them together. I found that when you have them singular apart, this is kind of a fairly newer piece from my older set, you know, they do fine and everything, but when you double them up, they just do better. They're thicker, they feel better and whatnot. They're a little bit heavier, but they are thicker, they feel better, and they do a lot less tangling and whatnot. So that's a good thing. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and pause or stop this and continue it in a minute. I'm going to cut out my pieces, and then I'm going to put one together and at least show you how I sew it together so it stays somewhat flat, and how it also helps when you're putting the clips on it, where you're getting a nice sturdy clip that's not so flimsy, that's going to, you know, get in there and hold really nicely in your head, and you're not going to get all the slipping and any of that flipping.
Okay, so now I want to demonstrate to you how I'm sewing and some tips that I found. Number one, this thread that you're going to buy at Sally's is a really thick thread. So you need to get I don't know how well you can see, but anyway, you need to get a needle that has an eye big enough to support the thread, which is going to be more or less a crafts needle, but not so big that it's going to be difficult to sew with. So, you know, this is a normal size needle. What is this? This is a packet that I got from Walmart. It's the Singer 12 tapestry needles, right? See, they're pretty good size in there. You can see them with the black background. And I use the ones at the very end here, which are the smallest ones. There's a little glaze there. You got the little protective thing. I don't know how well you can see it. Let's see. So nonetheless, so I'm using a very small needle, as small as this packet has, is the needle that I'm using, and I've pulled it through, and I've gotten, you know, a fairly decent size. And notice that I'm moving the hairs away from me. So I usually, you know, use the loop brush, and I usually move the hair away, you know, and smooth it down, because everything's a mess here. Everything's going to get tangled in the hair and everything. Typically I sew, because I'm right-handed, I found that it's easier for me to sew from the right to the left. If you're left-handed, then it would make more sense to sew. For whatever reason, I sewed this one backwards. But I work with the hair away from me, so I've got a clean thing to work from. And I'm holding this with my thumb. And, you know, there's some kinks because this has all been folded, and that's why, you know, you just hold it firmly, because you want a nice smooth edge. You don't want it to bunch, so you want to be careful. So I start at the end here, and I sew it really good, and the two of them together. So I mean, they're like this, so at this end, and then I'm putting them flat like this, and I'm lining up the edge. So I would take and I would sew this one edge together. See how I've got these two together where there's this little white, uh, this, and then this little brown here, and then basically I'm sewing this white to the brown. I'm just basically sewing these two seams together and flat, not one on top of the other because that's going to make it really thick. So just right underneath it, and you're not sewing in the hair, you know. See, when you flip the other side, you know, there's none of this threads coming through this side. I'm literally just bringing my needle through, and it gets tangly. And where your tangle starts happening, if it starts knotting up, is it's right here where this end is. And I usually keep a pretty long end. You want to keep it as close as you can so you have less tangling. So I've got my thread untangled and back. I've got my hair untangled and forward. I've got a nice clean area here to work with. I'm going to bring it to this white part on the top one, right? I'm going to bring it through the white part here, and I'm just catching a few threads, and then I'm bringing it right into the brown. So basically I'm just, and then I probably have to press through. Sometimes you got to use the table to press through, and I'm just bringing it through, and sometimes you got to work it. Man, this isn't always an easy process. And see how it's wanting to knot up? So, you know, you want to pull those out and work those knots out, and then, you know, sometimes I'll loop it around my hand while it's coming through, and then, you know, let it loop off. So you want to really watch for that binding up, because that's going to happen a lot. That's been my experience anyway. So I just keep doing that, and just sew it along like that, and get these two eyes, and do a nice job of this. You know, part of doing something new or changing your way of life is learning new habits. So at least the first time, this is a great experience, because you're not only investing your money but your time, and truly that's what it's all about, you know. And you're gonna learn a lot about it and take care of it better, and you're making a nice flat. You know, you want it just to look really nice and neat and nice and flat. And the thing that's nice about this, doing it this way, is that the hairs are stronger together, kind of like we are as people, you know. United, these two strands of hair is a lot better than having it as a one strand of hair. And not only that, it gives you this nice thicker edge here, so that you can take and put your clips on. Now, if you notice these clips that I got at Sally's, which are these the snap clips here. Let's see, I don't know. Anyway, they're snap clips, and then I get the blonde ones. This is for blonde hair, and then they got black ones and brown ones, and the thread, of course, is a blonde thread. So you're gonna try and match things to as close as the hair color, right? So if you notice, they've got a little hole here, you know, right here. You got a little hole right here. If you just go along these top holes here, you're gonna find, like I found, some real problems. They're gonna flip and stuff, and even flip like this where the hair is down. So you really want to very much get this second one on there. And when you've got this wider ridge after you've sewn it, and you don't want any loose threads, get a nice neat, undo your work and redo it if you have to. You know, go back to the mistake. Do not, and you want to get this all the way to the end here, all the way to the end, because you don't want this flipping up and sticking out of your hair. It needs to be nice and tightly bound on there. And then you're going to start at this end, and you'll start at the second hole here. The third hole you're moving into the hair, so you don't need to do that, but get this second hole and really sew this corner here all the way like this. Sew it really good. Put a lot in there. Sew it good. You want this thing to stay, and you want this corner to stay down. And then you're going to go across the top, and I'll show you this later. And then you're going to move over here, and you're going to put this one in, and then you're going to tack this one also. So you want on all of your clips, all four top ones and these two side ones bound down very, very firmly and nicely, especially this edge one here. Then you're going to go on this 8-inch piece, you're going to go a half an inch, and then you're going to put your next clip, which is an inch and a half long. You'll put your next clip, you're going to do the same thing, but you don't have to do it quite as much binding here. You can do 2 or 3 loops, 2 or 3 loops, 2 or 3 loops, and go across, and just go across. So typically, I'm going to sew this piece together like I'm doing right now all the way across, and then I start sewing on my piece. I start with this piece and I'm measuring it out, making sure there's, perfectly measured spaces between each space, and I end. So that's one thread and sometimes two. It's better to use one piece of thread to sew it and then get a new piece of thread and bind it and have a shorter piece of thread to work with. You're going to get a lot less tangling if you do it that way. That you can have. Now as I come on the edge here and I'm coming to the end of this, I want to sew this really, really good, really, really good all the way around before I start applying my clips. So I'm going to come in here to the edge. Let me see. I might need to set this up a little differently for you. Let's see. Is that working? Maybe if we're the same way I am. Okay, so now you've got my view. So I'm working with this in front of me, and I'm going to come here to this edge here.